they say never judge a book by its cover, but this is one of those books that you can actually, right from the front cover, the illustration just will let you know what you're about to get into. So, Blood and Faith, written by Matthew Carr, covering the era of from 1492 to 1614. So normally these historical books, they will cover like a period of 300, 400 years or so and just pick up the most significant parts. But what this author has done, he has gone into this one specific timing period from the Persian group of Muslims from 1492 to 1614. So we're covering about just over 100 years. And the book goes into a lot of detail, and each subheading or each chapter, the heading of a chapter will just tell you what you're about to get into. Like, for example, like broken promises, rebellion and conversion, the faith triumphant, the last right about um, a house full of snakes and scorpions, things like this. So as you're reading the book, you get into the gory details of the persecutions that the Muslims and the Jews faced by these Catholics. And what's really fascinating about it is that the Catholics, yes, the whole thing was initiated by, you could say, some Spanish indigenous people, but the most of the support was actually by the French and the Germans and some English as well during the crusading periods, especially after the failing crusades. The first crusade obviously was a success for them. The second and the third crusades were quite miserable failures, and so lots of these people that are going into Middle East, they were going through Spain, and many of them didn't get as far as the Middle East. They just stayed in Spain and did their crusading within Spain. But what I can say is that if you, I don't know what to say, it's probably one of the most glorious, saddest moments of Islamic history, because it's like an ongoing persecution of 100 years. Like what Genghis Khan, what the Crusaders did in Jerusalem, or what Genghis Khan's progeny or his people did in Baghdad was bad, but that was a short burst. But here you had a prolonged period of persecution. And to me, the saddest thing that these people that got exiled, these Muslims, these native Spanish Muslims that got exiled from their homeland, that got kicked out to a place like North Africa, a lot of them didn't even find any solace in North Africa. There was a lot of prejudice against them. Some did, but many of them didn't. Some actually returned back to Spain because that was their home and they yearned for it, so they came back to Spain and they lived under Christian names and so forth. But the Inquisition was about to find out if they were true Christians or not. And this is what a lot of the torture used to begin with. Like they would just wouldn't believe them that these guys are Christians, and rightfully so. Some of them were actually Muslims, just pretending to be Christians. Sadly for some though, that genuinely adopted the Christian religion, they converted to Christianity, but even they were persecuted. They were burnt on the stake, or they were like, as you see from some of these photos, like they were like horrifically tortured and put to death, even though they actually became Christians. And that's really, really sad. For me as a Muslim, even a Muslim, no matter how much torture you go for, as long as you die with Iman, there will be respite for you in the next life, especially that you died for your deen. But imagine for those that actually left the deen, became a Christian, and suffered so much and died, and they're still going to be in Jahannam, for eternity. That is so sad. Um, so I really recommend that anyone that wants to know about the most horrific time what Muslims faced in the past, this is a book that I seriously recommend you read. It goes into much detail within that period, and you learn the main troublemakers really were the Germans, or Austro, the House of Habsburg, or whatever it was called. These Catholic fanatics that were trying to root out Islam. So yeah, definitely recommend it. Blood and Faith: The Purging of Muslim Spain from 1490 to 1614.